Hello everybody, it's Coach Razo here. In this video, we'll go ahead and work on classifying lines and initially writing equations with what we're given. Now, what I mean by writing equations, we want to go and write it equal into y equals mx plus b. And so it's pretty much slope-intercept form. Now, sometimes one thing that you need to go ahead and know is that you have to understand what's x1, what's y1, what's x2, and what's y2. So that's pretty much first point, and then your second point. So always make sure that you understand how those work, because if you don't, then you're going to get these all jumbled up. Now, in this one, what we see is that we have to go in and classify each line as either parallel, perpendicular, coinciding, or intersecting. And this actually goes back to what was in the other videos. And parallel pretty much says the same slope. Perpendicular, well, that means they're going to go ahead and be opposite reciprocals. And if you need like a little example, you can use this one, 3/4, and then opposite reciprocals, and then opposite signs. So one's going to be a -4, and one's going to be a 3. So they're flipped. And then opposite sides coinciding, they're the same line. And then intersecting, they don't match, okay? So no match. Now, initially, when you have parallel lines, they're just looking like this, where they just face one single direction, they don't touch. Opposite reciprocals will go ahead and make it like an X, perfect X, and they'll make 90 degrees. Same line, they're over on top of each other. And then match is actually going to be like any sort of random. They're going to be like skewed. They're going to be in different directions. Okay, now for the first one, what needs to happen is that we need to identify what it could be. So we're going to go and work on number 1 down here. Oh, look at that, 1/4. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to identify what this one is. So I know my slope of my first line is going to be 1/4. And I know that my B is going to be +5. So that can help me out a little bit later. Now the issue is that I need to identify, and when I graph it, it's going to be +5 and then 1/4 rise over run. So my y-intercept's +5. So I'll go to +5 here. And then it's 1/4. So it's up 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. So that's going to be the first line that you have to go ahead and work with. Now the second line, what we need to do is let's go ahead and rewrite it. So my second line has to go and have 3y minus 12x is equal to -9. I have to make this look into getting y by itself. So I'm going to move this y in hopes to move everything else and get that y by itself in hopes to identify what I got. So I'm going to add 12x on both sides. This cancels out. So I have 3y. So now I have 12x minus 9, and then divide by 3. And so y is equal to 4x minus 3. So there you go. So now I have my slope-intercept form. So I have 4, then I have -3. So let's think about this. Are my slopes the same? 1/4 and 4, are they the same? No. Why? Because 1/4 of $1 is not the same as $4. So now, are they opposite reciprocals? Are they flipped? Now, one thing you can go and say is that this 4 does have a 1 underneath it, but when you flip it, it becomes 1/4. But if one's positive, that means the other one has to be negative. So it can't be parallel and it can't be perpendicular, because one has to be a negative and the other has to be positive. Are they coinciding? Are they the same line? No. So parallel? No. So are they perpendicular? No. So are they coinciding when they're the same? No. So that means the only last option you have left over is, what was it? Intersecting. So we're going to label this as intersecting. So I'm going to draw my line. Now, how do I graph this? So minus 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then up 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So there you go. So this is the first example you get, guys. So just be careful. Always change this equation. So change to slope intercept form. Okay? So just be careful with this one. Now the next ones, because there's a series of these, is that you have to go ahead and write this, write the equation given a graph. These are probably the easiest ones for you to go ahead and figure out. So super, super easy. Now, I'm going to work on letter D. So letter D, how do you start this? You look at the y-intercept. So 1, find y-intercept. So that's my first one. So that means that I'm going to go and look for 1, 2, negative 3. So this is negative 3. So D is going to have negative 3. And let's look for rise or run. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 4. How far does it run? It's going to be 1. So 4 over 1. So it'll be 4x. So y is equal to 4x minus 3. Now, if you happen to get confused, then it's positive because it's going up. So it'll be positive 4. Now, the next one. So it's going to say rise or run. The next one we're going to do is look for g. So I know that's 0. That's 1. So I'm taking it as a negative 1. So negative 1. Now I have to work from this point to that point. So I'm going to rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be 4. And then run. 1, 2, 3. So that's 3. So my rise over run is equal to 4 over 3. So now that's going to be 4 over 3x. But is it falling or is it increasing or is it decreasing? It is decreasing. So that means this has to be negative. So y is equal to this. Okay? So just a few examples for y'all to go and use for when you're trying to solve for writing equations, how to go and write them. So you have one that has given equations, and you have the other one where it gives you the slope-intercept form, and it gives you a standard form. Okay? Now, next one over is when you're given, when you're given 2 points. And this was actually a little more tedious one. Now, here's the things you can go and do. You can graph it. And then you want to go ahead and see what you can go ahead and do with it. Okay? Now, write an equation for the line that passes through the given points. So you can graph these equations. So you can graph them. Okay? And then connect them. And then you can build your line. Or you can just do the math. So first step. So change of y over change in x. Now, what's going to be x1 and y1? I know that's x. That's y. I know that's x. I know that's y. So that's going to be 1. And that's going to be 2. Because it's first point, second point. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my y2 is going to be 9 minus 9, which is right here. I've got this one minus that one, over negative 4 minus a negative 2. So just remember that when you're working with this one here and that one are here, negative 2 and negative 4. That minus there happens to be part of the formula. Let's solve. Now that will become 0 over, it turns to a positive. Negative 4 plus 2 gives you a negative 2. So that's going to be a 0. So my slope here happens to be 0. Okay, so when you're writing this, just be careful when you're seeing this. Now here's the next thing. So find b. So that means that you need to use slope-intercept form for y equals mx plus b. we know that this is 0 based on what we saw over here. My x and y are a point, so I can pick whatever point I want. So pick a point, and I'm going to make this one 9 and -2. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to have 9 is equal to -2, well, actually, 0 times -2 plus b. What's 0 times -2? 0. B just goes along for the ride. And my b is equal to 9 at this point. Now, what you have to do from here is combine them. So I know I have plus 9. I know that I have y equals to 0x plus 9. So initially, all this, I'm going to change colors. All this is your answer. But remember that that 0 is gone and turns that x into a 0 as well. So that means it's going to say y is equal to 9. So y is equal to 9. So that means that we're going to connect what we know. So -2, comma 9. So -2, 1, 2, -2, up 9. So 1, 2, and then go up 9. And then -4, comma -9. So -4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up 9. So there you go. So you can go and connect your lines too. But you have to show your work on how'd you get there. Okay? So that's how you solve for an equation whenever you're given 2 points. All right, last one. So given m with a point. So you're given a slope plus a point. Now, this one, you have to determine what you're given already. So slope is going to give you a characteristic. It's going to give parallel or perpendicular. Now, as I'm trying to solve this, if it says parallel, I'm going to go ahead and just write that so I know what it's going to have to look like. Parallel, right? So y equals -1x plus 1. So I'm going to go up 1. I'm a y-intercept. And it says -1 over 2. So it's down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And then there you go. So that's your first line. So it has to be parallel, as in like these lines will not touch. So if I go ahead and try to plug in what I know from this one, so I have to make an equation that has this in it already. But this one is not over. It's 8 and then positive and -1, which is right here. So that means it has to be parallel with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I know. So I know my slope has to be equal to 1/2 because it has to be the same slope. So I need to use that. Now, when you plug it in into this, I know my slope has to be this. So I have -1 over 2, x plus b, and then you have your y. Now you can go ahead and get fancy here because you can go ahead and use your 8 and -1 and just replace it with what you're given right here. So now you have y, which is -1, -1/2, then x is 8 plus b, and then -1/2 and 8. So -1 times 8 gives you -8. -8 divided by 2 gives you -4. And then add 4 on both sides. And so that means b is equal to -1 plus 4 gives you 3. So there you go. So now you have your b, which is 3. So final answer, y is equal to -1/2 x plus 3. So there you go. Okay, so this happens to be that spot. This happens to be that spot right there. Now graphing it. If we're trying to graph this, you can go ahead and use your new equation you just created. All right, so we're going to go ahead and graph this equation. Now, from here, you have 8 comma negative 1, which is right here. And then you have your new equation, which is this one right here. So that's going to be new equation. So you have up 3, and which is right here. Oh, no, that's 2. So this would be 3 right here. So you can go down 1 over 2. So down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And so now you kind of create this line that goes along here. Okay. So those would be your line that's going to be parallel with that one. All right, last one. Now, perpendicular, same idea, same concept as in terms of like solving for m and slope and y-intercept. What we're going to go and do is plug in what we know. So I know my slope has to be perpendicular, which means it has to be flipped, right? So positive, negative, and it has to be flipped. So my slope happens to be 3. So that's my first line. So when I do it, negative 1, so down 1, and then it says 3x, which means up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. So when you go and connect these up a little bit, it gives you a straight line. Okay, I know, guys, I'm not an artist. So that initially will become my first line. Now my second line that I have to create, I have to go ahead and identify part of it, which is negative 1, which is b. And then now the second line, I'm going to use a different color for it. So I'm going to use red. So second. I have to make it perpendicular. That means it has to be flipped and positive and negative. So that means I'm going to take this 3 over 1 and then flip it. So it's 1 over 3. It has to be negative. So negative 1 over 3. And then my b, I have no idea what it is. I got to find it. So that's what's missing. So I'm going to take what I know, y equals to mx plus b, and plug it in. So my y, x and y, which is 7. My m, which is the slope, is going to become the new one, which is negative 1/3. And then my x is going to be negative 6 plus b. Negative 1 times negative 6 gives you a positive 6. 6 divided by 3 gives you 2 plus b, and this is going to be 7. And so my next step from here happens to go ahead and be minus 2, goes away. And so my b is equal to 5 in this one. Now, when b is equal to 5, that goes right here. So now I have my second equation. So let's plug in what we know. So my final form is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to this. So add 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on my y-intercept. And then you're going down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. So there you go. Okay, so it kind of makes like a perfect X right there. Okay, so there you go. So that's it for this section. Just make sure you keep practicing along the way, and tune in to the next video, guys.